Yeah, sorry, he's traveling today.
Okay.
So my manager, I actually report directly to the CEO, so it's hard to get him,
Oh, sure.
yeah, get him to, these calls. So I'm gonna once we discuss this, and since you're recording it, I'll share it with him.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So, first thing is our major focus from last week was the search engine optimization campaign.
Hmm.
So I went and did some research, just looking at some of the phrases that I think uh, Centelli would definitely want to have a good visibility for in organic. And there's definitely search demand there. I did see that your website is already ranking number 16 for Spotfire, and that has over 10,000 monthly searches just in the US. Um, and so I think that would definitely be a good opportunity. I know we talked about maybe some priorities, as far as services and industry. So we can definitely refine the target list moving forward. But this is, from my initial review, this is what I found. Would you say, is there anything in here that for certain that you wouldn't be interested in targeting?
Uh, I think no, because these are we. I know we've been specifically targeting these, so
Hmm.
I would definitely like to include most of these. The only thing I would say is maybe we can reduce the number of data visualization keywords we have.
Okay.
Yeah, because I already see so Spotfire, and then we have data visualization software, and then we have again visualization software. So maybe add in a few different keywords there.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Understood. Understood. Okay. And I'll be jotting down some notes as I go along as well. So,
Okay.
um, yeah. So this search demand, those are some very frequent searches. And then these are some different key phrases. There's some overlap here. So I see that the website is positioned on page 2.
Okay.
And then I think with just a little bit of attention, we could definitely get some of these phrases onto page 1, where there's more likely to get more traffic.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like a keyword like Spotfire cost, it's not directly related to our services.
Hmm.
So maybe, we can refine these keywords a little bit more.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I was doing my research. I understand that you are a partner. Um, so I guess why would someone go to Centelli versus going to the parent company for their Spotfire needs?
Well, TIPCO Spotfire offers the platform. We
Hmm.
offer a service that goes along with using that particular platform. So we actually construct dashboards for our client. Whereas if you went straight to TIPCO, you would just be licensing the software from them, and then you basically have to have your own people,
I
work
see.
on. Yeah,
I see. So if the company, if they don't have someone in house who's already an expert, they would have to. I see what you're saying.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, so I imagine, yeah, Spotfire cost definitely wouldn't be a good target. Okay,
yeah.
so moving on here. So just some current standings. I know you mentioned that one of the areas you really want to focus on the Southeast U.S.
Hmm.
So I just did some searches, for Charlotte, and I did a couple other searches in the next few slides where you'll see. Um, but yeah, I did notice that, as we just saw, no first page rankings for Spotfire, data visualization software, and data analytics companies, and some of these others. I think even kind of just making those refinements that we just went over, I think you're still kind of missing out on page 1. So that would definitely be the goal. And then kind of taking more of an industry focus, call center analytics software, big data analytics solutions, master data management tools. Didn't see any presence for Centelli there as well. Now, one thing to note, I did kind of look at these kind of at a higher, like, national level. But once we understand the priority locations and cities, and I think we can definitely refine that more so that you are coming up for those specific areas.
Yeah, that would make sense. I know that this one, the blog that you've highlighted,
Hmm.
it's been ranking pretty well since the time it was published.
Yep.
So we actually tried to do another similar blog in 2019, I
Hmm.
believe,
Hmm.
um, which hasn't, but we haven't seen too much uh, improvement in the ranking for that one.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let me ask. Instead of writing a new blog article, um, why not just update this one that's already indexed and has some I guess aged history?
Yeah, we could do that. I just didn't think of updating it just because the I would have to change the title and then maybe the URL as well. Then I think that would affect SEO again.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
So a
yeah,
little tip there for these types of articles. Instead of putting a year in the URL, just leave it out. That way you don't have to update it every year and just put it in a title tag. I think would be the
yeah, that
that's why
makes
I've
sense.
seen it, like, it makes it a lot easier for sure.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I've learned kind of just doing these types of articles. Yeah, you sometimes you even forget they're out there, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's much easier to get that one to stay where it's at than trying to get a new article to, push it out the way. So,
that's true. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point.
Okay. And then kind of when I was just looking again for this one, I just did a search for one of your target phrases and then Florida. Um, I looked at these companies. So you have like LinkedIn, but anytime I see like the social media coming up, I know there isn't much competition in the search results. And
Hmm.
see, even look down here, Centelli is number, what's that, 6. So,
Yeah.
I definitely think there's opportunities where, we can push the website into the top 3 for sure.
Okay. And then, so I have a question about the keyword.
Mhm.
Um, would you recommend using more keywords that have a higher search volume and targeting those first, or would you rather recommend doing like predictive analytics solutions, Florida, which is more specific to a region, and then focusing on those?
That's a great question. So I would start kind of with what the business goals are. Um, and so, just looking at your website, I saw that predictive analytics solutions was, one of the offerings. And
Yeah.
then from there, I will look at the search volume, kind of sort it from, highest to lowest. And then I would look at the keyword difficulty for each phrase and then compare that with your website's domain rating, which is a metric from Ahrefs. And it basically tells you how much authority your website has. And the reason why we do that step, because there's, I'm sure, some keywords that have a ton of search volume, but you could try for years and you would never be able to rank for them because they're so competitive. Typically your high search volume keywords are going to be the most competitive. So what we
Yeah.
want to do is find a balance of search volume and the efficiency in actually getting more visibility for that phrase. So that's why we would compare the domain rating with the keyword difficulty. And pretty simple here. If the keyword difficulty, is at 31 or lower, then it's definitely a green light. Maybe if the keyword difficulty is maybe a few points higher, maybe no higher than 35, it's in our it's in our ballpark, so we'll still go for it. But let's say if the keyword difficulty was maybe at 70 or 80, those are some of our reach goals, where as we build the authority for the website, those would be keywords we target in the future.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think what we've been trying to do so far is focusing more on high search volume keywords.
Sure.
So we've gotten somewhere with it, but like you said, I mean, it to kind of push it up to the first page. I think that balance would help.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. And then I, also took a look at the page speed. That's a really big SEO factor. So this is what I found from Google Insights. So what I see, the mobile speed, and I'm not sure on your traffic data where people are coming from, but mobile is definitely a big area of improvement. As I'm sure you know, Google is using a mobile first index. So they're pretty much prioritizing this score over your desktop score.
Right.
And 69 is not terrible, but that's obviously some area for improvement there. Now the second screenshot here, I just shared this. These are the specific metrics that I would like to improve as it relates to site speed. So first byte, pretty much how long does it take for that first byte to load? And that is at 2.5. I would really like that to be under 2 seconds. And then your first contentful paint, basically how long does it take for the above the fold section to render? That's at 4.4. I would also like that under 2 seconds. So kind of drilling down further, these are the two metrics that are most important, for optimization.
Okay.
Yep.
And what would be a couple of things that you would want to focus on to improve the mobile page speed?
Sure. So first thing, I would say look at your browser caching. So how your website is handling caching. If you're using a plugin, are there some ways that that plugin could be optimized to improve that function? The second thing, I will look at the website images. If we have images that where there are opportunities to compress it, definitely compress those images. And then finally, just look at the other on-page elements. I know there may be some video or other rich media. Just seeing how we can best optimize that for load speed. And I guess to add on to that, if you're using any scripts on the page, any third-party scripts, pushing those down further, or I guess deprioritizing the order, so that if they're taking a long time to load, well, at least they load last. That way, the user experience when someone first hits the page doesn't nothing's taken away there, nothing's diminished. And then something that we will also look at is your website hosting. Is there I typically I don't like switching hosting, but if I see that it's a really it could have a really big benefit, then that's something that we would explore.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we currently use one for our hosting.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
that uh, what do you think about it?
Yes, I definitely heard of the company. Maybe have one or two sites that use one-on-one. So I don't have a ton of opinion on it, but
Okay.
we can definitely take a look at that. And sometimes it's not even switching a hosting provider, but maybe upgrading a plan so that you're getting more resources.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. And kind of got a little detailed there, but it all goes back to the user experience. So when a user hits your website, are they having a pleasant experience interacting with your website? And that does have an impact on SEO, bounce rate, average time on site. Those are all signals that Google looks at when determining if this website is not only matching the intent of the user, but also providing the user with a good experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So moving on, technical SEO. So I would say, when we're doing the on-page review, first we would focus on the broken links. I did find, I would say roughly 50 broken links, both internal links going to other pages on a website and external links going to other websites. That would be
Okay.
our primary focus. And then after that, I didn't see any instance of JSON LD schema. Are you familiar with schema?
Not so much, no.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the most popular example, if you're ever searching for like a restaurant or a hotel or even something for Amazon and Google, you'll see the star ratings in a Google search result. So that's pretty much schema in action, but that's only
Okay.
one type of schema. That's a product review schema. There are tons of other types of schema like organization schema, person schema. So if your CEO, if he has like a prominent presence online, we can add him as the schema type, as a schema type even. And really what we're doing with schema, we're giving Google more contextual information about your business so that, when it comes time to figure out what to rank your site for, there will be more information there for them to pull for their algorithm to pull from.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And yeah, kind of going back to the broken links, again, this goes to user experience. If a user goes to your website and they click on a broken link, that obviously isn't providing the best experience for them. So that's why we really prioritize fixing broken links.
Okay.
And then I also talked about on-site optimization. So, typically we deprioritize meta descriptions, but we really do focus on page titles. So just making sure that your page titles, you're using them to their most benefit. So I just kind of did a quick screen grab for some of the pages and the search results. And there's nothing wrong here, but since the title tag is so short, and I'm looking at the second example here, this
Yeah.
is definitely an opportunity to put more keywords in there or variants of predictive analytics, just so that you can position that page to be visible for different phrases other than predictive analytics.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I just saw here, just make sure that, everything is consistent. So, it looks like pretty much for every page you're using title case, but then I saw the lowercase here.
Okay.
So just making sure that's consistent. Um, and then, of course, offsite optimization. So we've talked about this a bit last week, but really building out some backlinks to the site. It's still a major part of Google's algorithm. So this is kind of small. So let's see if I can zoom in here a bit. There we go. So I did a analysis for the Centelli website. I compared it to several other companies that I'm not sure if you consider them competitors, but they are showing up for some of the same search phrases.
Okay.
And so there are really, there's a ton of numbers here, but there are really two important things that I'm focused on. The domain rating, which we already talked about. So just kind of comparing that to some of your competitors, you're blowing a quant, I think it's a quant US out of the water, but Bain, I understand they're an international firm,
Yeah.
but of course you got strategy wise and you got Datascope Analytics. So they're kind of all in the ballpark. And then I'm also looking at referring domains. So from what I saw, Centelli has 122 referring domains or websites pointing back to it. But if you compare that to some of the others, Bain, again, they're just a lot more because they're a bigger firm. But then you have Datascope Analytics that have 366. So exactly 3 times the amount of backlinks. So the way I look at this is, first, we do want to be in a ballpark range where 20,000 may, that may not be realistic. But then if we kind of just filter out on some of the keywords, so let's say going back to the predictive analytics example, take Centelli's page and then compare that to Bain's page on predictive analytics and the other firm's pages on predictive analytics. That would give you a better apples to apples comparison. But I shared this just to kind of see, so you can see kind of where the gaps are and where there's opportunity.
Okay. And when you say backlinks, like the number of backlinks should be more, do you mean like would you rather it be increasing the amount of content that we're posting externally, or even within just one article, maybe do two backlinks instead of one? In what way would you increase that number?
Yep. So with backlinks, this is actually only counting the number of times another website links back to your website, Centelli's website. So increasing that within the content itself won't help with that metric. However, putting out more content and then really having an established process for promoting it could definitely help get the content more backlinks. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. And as I said, backlinks, that they've been a major part of the algorithm since Google started. It's one of the things that set them apart from the other search engines at the time, and it still remains, a big part of the ranking formula. So, Holly, this would definitely be a big area of priority for us.
Okay.
Yep. So before I get to PPC, I just to make sure, we're on the same page. I see SEO kind of as a discovery channel for Centelli. So, the different search phrases that we went over and any others that you think we should be targeting, SEO is going to be like the gateway into Centelli. And with that said, what we're really looking at is, how much organic traffic is coming through organic, how much organic traffic is coming through Google, what's the growth rate of that over the timeline of the campaign. And as I imagine, someone may not come to the website their first time visiting and decide to call your team or submit their information. They may want to do some more research. So in that case, one important metric that we want to track are assisted conversions, so that over time, while SEO wouldn't be the last touch for that prospect, it still would play a role in getting that prospect converted into a new client. So we talked about this last week as well, but one of our other priorities would be making sure that all of your conversion tracking is set up and functioning correctly.
Right.
Yep. And so that leads me to pay-per-click. And I'm sure you're familiar with the rule of 7. Are you familiar? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, as I said, SEO is kind of going to be that gateway to Centelli. And, it's a good chance that, that prospect won't convert their first time visiting the website. And what I saw, on average, there's a 3% conversion rate for a website in general. So 97% of the people who come to your website, they're not going to convert. And if you don't have a strategy for remarketing to them, then you kind of miss out on them forever, unless you're lucky and they remember your brand. They bookmark the website. So for paid media, pay-per-click, I highly recommend, if you're not already doing this, some type of remarketing where you're tracking their pixel and you're pretty much remarketing to them over the course of several months. That way, Centelli stays top of mind, and there's brand awareness and brand recognition. So are you all already doing something with Google Ads or PPC?
So not at the moment, but we
Okay.
did do click ads at I think during the first half of last year.
Okay.
Uh, but I do understand that some of the keywords that we want to target, they have, like you said, they're very competitive, and
Yep.
it also gets expensive.
Hmm.
So we did stop doing pay per click, but
Sure.
we're focusing more of our attention on other paid campaigns through LinkedIn.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mentioned that towards the end of the slide, but that's great. So, so as I understand, you were running Google Ads, but you're not anymore. So, if you're not, I would definitely still keep that remarketing pixel on the website. I'm not sure if you know if it's still there, but I think remarketing ads, the cost per click is a lot lower, and you already know that these people, these pixels that you're tracking, these individuals have expressed some interest in Centelli's offering. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend, even if you're not actively running ads, that you still leave that pixel enabled on the website.
Yeah. We have that implemented
Okay.
right now. So, and we've actually been also working on having cookies implemented on the
Okay.
website.
Awesome.
So yeah, once that's in place, I think it will make more sense for us to do the LinkedIn remarketing.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So since you're already doing or already kind of have that set up, I'll kind of just breeze through these. But just some tactics, maybe if you want to go back and reference with your team. Uh, so yeah, so the next section, reputation management. Um, so from what I saw for a lot of those keywords that we were looking at earlier in the presentation,
Hmm.
on the first page, there are a lot of these review websites. Um, so for instance, so let's just say if we're targeting locally, and I put in Charlotte here, but it could easily be North Carolina or any other major city and in the southeast. One thing, even if someone was already heard about Centelli from somewhere else, they're probably just going to do a quick Google search, from my experience, and they're probably going to look at this. So I would say, for your local area, definitely try to get more reviews. If you have clients in the Charlotte area, and then there's a few things. So make sure that you fill out the Q&A for the Google My Business profile. So
Hmm.
there, frequently asked questions that you're getting from prospects or clients, make sure to add them here. And I can even help kind of give you some questions that people are searching for. And then finally, you can't see it here, but make sure that you're responding to your reviews. Um, and that's another area to include keywords. And then I know you guys are already doing a lot of great things with content, but making sure that you're using Google My Business post to post it. Um, just making sure that locally you're pretty much dominating not only the organic but the local map pack as well.
Okay. So the challenge with these reviews is getting our clients to go and write us a review, just
It's
because of
always the
the,
challenge.
yeah, the nature of the services we offer.
Right.
A lot of times our we have confidentiality agreements and that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
I don't know if you have a different suggestion for how to go about with that, because I know I've been trying to get those reviews going, but
Sure. Yeah, that is challenging when there's kind of confidentiality involved. Um, would you say that's according to a specific industry, or is that regardless of or not dependent on the industry?
no, it varies.
Mm-hmm.
It's depending on the contract we have with
Mm-hmm.
each of the clients. So, and also the fact that someone from that particular company has to write a review through their personal account, I guess, for Google.
Sure.
That's been a challenge too.
Yep.
but I don't know, maybe we can get like a testimonial for the website or something, but I don't know how to get these Google reviews going.
Yeah, it's challenging because you're right. Their name, unless they're using like a nickname or something, it would show. So in
Yeah.
that case, it may be best just to save those testimonials for the website. Um,
Hmm.
and then, what I like to do is, okay, if someone leaves a testimonial or provides a testimonial for the website, maybe just taking a screenshot of that and then using it here as a Google My Business post. It's not
Hmm.
quite the same as getting a
Yeah.
review here, but still someone can see it before even clicking through to your website.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of FAQs would we be listing here?
So FAQs, it depends on, because you have to think, if someone is going to Google and they're already kind of looking for these keywords, they are probably already problem aware. They're aware they have a problem or a need, and they just need to find a expert to deliver on that, solving that problem or addressing that need. So I would probably go for like solution specific type questions where you're focused more on, questions on, I guess the questions that people would have if they're trying to decide between you and a competitor. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So I can definitely build out some questions I'm seeing and maybe look at some other competitor websites that you share, and I can provide more details on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's at the local level, and then at the national level, I saw these types of websites like Good Firms. There are few others here. Clutch, Predictive Analytics Today. So I don't know if it's the same case here where you've tried to get people to review, but they're just due to confidentiality, they're not able to.
Hmm.
Is that the case or?
Yeah, that's the case in a lot of places, even even getting those testimonials because of that.
Yep.
But I mean, the most of the initial years of the company were all based on word of mouth.
Hmm.
That's what we've been relying on. It would be great to, from a marketing perspective, to get those testimonials written, but it's a challenge. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring the reputation management piece up is that Google is really this whole all the AI, the entity where Google is going is definitely going to favor like more established brands. So when you're able to get these positive sentiments on Google's products, with Google My Business, and then these other third-party websites, it creates a positive sentiment for your brand, and that all really helps when it comes to improving your visibility with the rankings and getting more organic traffic. So that's kind of how it's kind of related to SEO, but it's kind of its own separate bucket. But just
Yeah.
wanted to go over that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to content, we discussed quite a bit last week. So these are the goals that I see for the content. So really boosting the brand awareness, establishing Centelli as the go-to expert for industry-specific and regional prospective clients, and then addressing, pain points. So kind of what I mentioned with the FAQs, kind of thinking about what are the questions that your prospects will have at different stages of the sales cycle, and then addressing, building out content that addresses each of those pain points. And then this really isn't a goal, but it's definitely a benefit. Creating those content assets for promotional opportunities. So, sharing on social media. We use a platform called Q Promote where, we take content and we, put it out there in different thought leaders and influencers that are in the niche. In this case, it would be tech. They would share that content on their own social profiles. So kind of like word of mouth, but online. And then of course link building. The kind of the starting point with a good link building campaign is really good content. So um,
Right.
that's just one other benefit of a content program.
Okay.
Um, so step one, definitely measuring traffic, which it sounds like your team is already doing. And then just measuring traffic and brand engagement for step two. So brand engagement, something we didn't discuss. Do you all have an email list?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really, at step two, we want to see, okay, and maybe this would take means that we would need to put in some more calls to action, but seeing not only are you getting traffic, but are people signing up for the email list to get more content, to get more engaged with the brand. But
Mm.
that's really step two, what we want to do. And then the growth stage, you're getting traffic to the content, you're getting people engaged with the brand, either they're signing up for the email list or sharing on their own social profiles. And then finally, conversion. So can we map that initial traffic from the to the content to positive sales outcomes? So that's really kind of the ultimate goal with a strong content program. And of
Yeah.
course, we're going to have to install all the analytics, conversion tracking, so that we're able to measure this. So um, any questions there?
No, that
Okay.
sounds good. Yeah.
And then, we really like to take a framework approach, and your team is already doing some of this. The article we were just looking at, the top companies in Charlotte for 2018, I think it was the top 10. Yeah, so that's almost like a comparison piece where you're talking about these different companies, but you're positioning Centelli as the best. Um, but these are the different frameworks that I think each content piece should fall under. So, starting actually number two would probably be the first point where the prospect is problem aware. So they know they have an issue and they need more information about what are some of the best tools or solutions to solve that issue for that specific function or for that specific industry. And then even like a buyer's guide to how to choose the right X, whether that's predictive analytics or whether that's marketing analytics, really
Yeah.
depends on the priority or where we want to go moving forward. So let's say they're past that step, that now they're solution aware, and that's really where you want to start comparing Centelli to other competitors. Um, so either, one piece like you did with the top 10 article, or you can have these one-on-one pieces where you really go into detail. Number one, it's very tricky because for in order for it to work, you have to not only be objective, but in an objective way, position Centelli as the best solution for that particular industry or that particular problem. But I've seen these work really well. Um, and number three, editorials. So kind of just industry trend reports. Number three, these typically are the best types of content for link building because they are talking about where the industry is going and there are often some great insights in these types of pieces. And then finally, number four, case studies. So, having a case study for your priority industries and, really, going into detail how Centelli's solutions were able to solve that particular client's problem or solve a particular problem within an industry. So, like I said, from my review of the content, your team is already doing some of this, but just kind of figuring out kind of what would be the priority for service slash industry moving forward.
Okay. So yeah, in terms of industry, we do have, I think about, I would say three that we would like to focus on to begin with.
Okay.
So that would be healthcare. And then financial services. So financial services would include insurance, banking, um, and credit unions. And then the third would be manufacturing.
Okay, just writing that down.
Yeah,
Manufacturing. Okay, so I have the three primary industries are healthcare, financial services, and manufacturing. And then under financial services, really concentrating on insurance, banking, and credit unions. Is that correct?
that's right.
Okay. Now, under healthcare and even for manufacturing, I know those are also kind of broad categories. Do you all have any specializations or concentrations, I should say, under those two?
Um, Not specifically. Maybe I can give you some of our services that we
Okay.
would probably focus on within that.
Okay.
Um, and those, well, I know population health analytics is a big service for us. And then
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
it's population health analytics.
Population health analytics. Okay.
Yeah. That would be under the healthcare industry, of course. And then
Mm-hmm.
MDM, so master data management for healthcare.
Okay.
Um, there would be marketing analytics would be another one. So MDM, marketing analytics, those are pretty much spread across most industries. So they would apply to the other two as well.
Okay.
Um, and then I would say within financial services, the more specific one would be fraud detection, fraud analytics.
Sure.
And then what else? And then call center analytics is also another one for healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
oh, now I'm just going to ask, you mentioned fraud detection. I believe I saw on your page there's also fraud analytics or fraud detection service for healthcare. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can, refine these services and give you more specific ones to focus on, but these would just be to kind of give you an idea of, what the different services would be.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manufacturing, marketing analytics is big within that.
Okay.
And marketing analytics also has different niches, I would say. So
Mm-hmm.
we have something called marketing mix optimization, and then we have attribution modeling. There's a bunch of different ones, and I can go into more detail with that with you for that
Sure.
and
What
help
was
you
the
define that. Yeah,
what was the second one after marketing mix optimization?
attribution modeling.
Attribution modeling. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. And yeah, and then the others are more generic across the industries, like
Mm-hmm.
customer intelligence, um, and then some in within some industries, the application of IoT as well, Internet of Things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I got all of that down. Okay. Yeah, so I guess that'll definitely help me refine the keyword list and some of those other things we went on early when we went over before earlier in a meeting.
Yeah. And sorry, one more service that we've been focusing on recently is data privacy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so we're trying to use more keywords pertaining to compliance with the CCPA, the California Consumer Protection Act that recently came into play.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, of course, GDPR affects some US companies that have that are in business with Europe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And those are I would think more general, so applies across industries.
Yes, that would be general. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So some of these, I would probably term them as solutions. Some of
Mhm.
them would be services.
Mhm.
So predictive analytics is more broad as a service,
Mhm.
but a solution like marketing analytics is more specific. So we can even, divide it up that way. So get a, it'll help us get a better list of keywords to target.
Yeah, for sure. And that would help if you could, or we could like collaborate on categorizing them.
Yeah.
But just so I'm on the same page, how do you see the difference between solution and service?
So our service would be more broad,
Okay.
like artificial intelligence is a service, but I mean, artificial intelligence is used within one of our, any of our solutions rather,
Mhm.
um, to play a more specific role, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean. Um, and then like even marketing analytics, is a solution, but we use, well, data science would be the service that we're offering.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's almost have a full page of notes here. Okay. Anything else you wanted to add on this slide?
um, Not at the moment. We do have a bunch of use cases,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't put those up on the website yet. I'm trying to figure out a way to put it in a way where we can also capture a lead through it. So maybe with a form or something. But right now we're using it more for sales internally.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If there aren't any issues, I would always suggest putting case studies up, um, because they might not drive as much search traffic, but if someone, let's say you had a oil and gas, or let's look at one of like if you had a financial services prospect who was actually looking for one of the solutions that Centelli offers, um, then yeah, you have a case study about that. That's definitely something would be uh, really would help that conversion. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I agree, and I do want to get those uploaded soon.
hmm
But I just want to figure out a way to do it more systematically because we just, there's so much content on the website already. So just trying
yeah,
to organize that. Yep.
yep, yep. Okay.
And I think you said last time that you could help us with some of the content as part of the package, right?
Yes. So why don't we talk about that now? Um, yep. So yeah. So these are different packages. Kind of just based on what we discussed, kind of how I see where the needs are. So since it sounds like your team is already doing a paid ad management, yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
can just ignore that. But yeah, SEO. So that's kind of like the baseline SEO. Consultation. We can definitely help out with some of the content strategy. And a major difference here is, SEO plus content marketing will actually be building a strategy for you. And then, as we discussed, kind of just doing the writing, um, based on what we decided are the priorities for the strategy.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you have any samples of content that you could share with me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can definitely send that over.
Okay, awesome. That would help. And yeah, I mean, we are looking at something between our budget was more between 500 to 1,000.
Okay.
But I can definitely go back and speak to my manager and see what we can do.
Okay.
Because I mean, I like the approach that you have, and we definitely need some help to kind of push us, onto the first page now.
Okay. Yep. Yep, for sure.
So
Uh, Sorry, I accidentally hit my volume button there. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it sounds like you already have a team. So you already have in-house writers and in-house SEOs, or
No, they're not in house. We outsource it.
okay, okay.
Yeah, some of our blogs are written by our consultants,
Mhm,
but I don't get too many pieces of content from them
mhm.
on a regular basis, so I do outsource most of it.
Okay, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I know sometimes when you outsource, it's kind of difficult to stay on brand and just making sure everything's consistent. So
Right, yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
I struggle with
And
that.
our consultants do some great pieces of content just because they know the company well and they know exactly what services we offer. So
Hmm.
the challenge is getting getting them to write it. So
Sure, sure. I'm sure they're very busy.
yeah, and they're all very technical. So when it comes to putting down what they know, it's difficult.
Yep.
But when it's implementing, it's a piece of cake for them. So,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's the pricing, and you already have this presentation. But kind of, when we decide how to move forward, first we'll have an onboarding meeting, and we'll really kind of get on the same page as far as the target keywords, kind of what is going to be the strategy for these industries and services and solutions, and how we're going to
Mhm.
categorize them. And then month one is really about kind of some of the baseline things, so making sure the conversion tracking is there. To make sure not only do we have the strategy, the content strategy in place based on what we discussed in the onboarding meeting, but making sure that we're making progress start towards producing the first round of content assets. And then really the on-page SEO and kind of just cleaning up all of those things that are getting flagged in our audit. And then
Okay.
month two onwards, really that's when we can start collecting some data. We'll get our initial traffic, but towards second half of month two into month three, we're really going to shift our focus to link building because, as I said, that's really a major part of the process for SEO. And then all the while, we'll still be going according to the content calendar that we decide on
Mm.
for month one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I do have someone that's working on SEO right now, and
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at our contract to see when I need to give them notice. But would you be okay starting immediately, or do you need some time?
Yeah, I really do like to have that onboarding meeting. So whenever
Yeah.
you're able to have that, yeah, if that's next week, yeah, we'll be ready to start.
Okay.
Yep,
All right. So let me go back and yeah, speak to the team internally and also figure out the other SEO stuff, and I can get back to you.
sounds good. Sounds
And
good.
do you have like a minimum number of months that we need to be setting this up for?
Yeah, so for the initial campaign, 6 months, and that's just to make sure we actually have time to actually see some traction,
Yeah.
and really get some good data to make some decisions after that 6 month period.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. And this is if we are your packages modifiable at all, just in case, like for example, I wanted to add maybe one or two things from your 1,500 package to the $1,000 package.
Yeah, that would change the price a bit, depending on what you're looking to add. But Yeah, these are customizable based on the priorities. So yes, just communicate with me and we'll see what we're able to do as far as that goes.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Cool. And sorry, one more question. The content promotion that you have listed on here,
Yep.
is that part of like the link building that you mentioned, or uh, could you tell me about that again?
Not quite. So it can lead to backlinks, but this is really, promoting it to different platforms that do have a SEO benefit. So yeah, we have like a network of maybe 20 websites, 15 to 20 websites that we promote. And if we find any that are tech specific, we'll add those to our list. But that's really kind of to simulate the whole virality thing of content so that, again, it's sending positive signals, SEO signals to Google.
Okay,
So it's not really under the link building umbrella, but it could help with link building. But this is really just to get more visibility for the content.
gotcha. And does that include Medium, like you mentioned last time?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
That's probably my favorite promotion website.
Yeah, and I really like the whole layout of the website also.
Yep.
I had a graphic designer who was just in love with the way everything was set up on that site. So,
Hmm. Yep.
but yeah, okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, yeah, I won't keep you longer. So you said your CEO was traveling. When do you think you'll
Yes.
have a decision on next steps?
Um, I'm not sure when he's back. So if he's back tomorrow, I'm gonna try and get in a word with him.
Okay.
If not, early next week.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Would it
maybe
be
like
okay if
by
I follow up next week? Is that okay?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that works.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks so much, Leonard. It was nice talking to you.
Great chatting with you. You have a great weekend.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.